The Empire had ruled the stars for 12,000 years. They had destroyed 17 entire species. They had made slaves of 43 more. Their ships were massive. Their weapons were powerful. Their soldiers knew nothing but victory. When their scouts found Earth, a small blue planet circling an ordinary yellow sun, they laughed. The creatures living there had barely touched their own moon. They were nothing. They were insects. High Commander did not even ask the Emperor for permission. Why would he? This was not a war, this was pest control. He sent 3 capital ships, just 3. That was all he thought he needed. 50,000 plasma rounds fell from the sky like burning rain. The city in the country called South Korea disappeared in 11 minutes. 9 million people lived there. 9 million people died there. Mothers holding their children. Old men sitting in parks. Students walking to school. All of them gone in fire and light. Park was a general in the Korean military. She was 47 years old. She had served her country for 25 years. She had seen many things, but she had never seen anything like this. She was at Air Base 60 kilometers from when the attack came. The ground shook. The windows broke. She ran outside and looked east. A mushroom cloud was rising into the sky, higher and higher, until it touched the heavens themselves. The cloud was beautiful in a terrible way. Orange and red and black, like a flower made of death. She stood there for a long time. Other soldiers were screaming. Some were crying, some were praying, but Park did not scream or cry or pray. She just watched, and something changed inside her. The fear that should have been there was gone. In its place was something else, something cold and hard and patient. She knew in that moment that the creatures who did this would pay. She did not know how, she did not know when, but she knew it would happen. The aliens sent a message to Earth 3 hours later. The message was simple: surrender now or die. Give up your weapons, give up your governments, become slaves of the Empire. If you refuse, we will burn every city on your planet. We will kill every human being. We will erase your species from existence. You have 1 week to decide. The leaders of Earth gathered, Americans and Russians, Chinese and Europeans, Africans and Asians. Old enemies sat in the same room. Countries that had pointed nuclear weapons at each other now looked at the stars together. They were scared. Of course they were scared, but they were also angry. 9 million people were dead. 9 million innocent people who had done nothing wrong. Park was asked to speak. She flew to New York to the United Nations building, still wearing the same uniform she had worn when died. There was still ash on her shoulders, ash that had once been human beings. She stood at the podium and looked at the faces before her. Presidents, prime ministers, generals and admirals, all of them waiting to hear what she would say. She spoke quietly. She did not shout or pound the table. Her voice was calm like a frozen lake. They think we are afraid, she said. They think 9 million dead will break us. They think we will fall on our knees and beg for mercy. She paused. They do not understand what they have done. She pressed a button and images appeared on the screens behind her. The alien ships, massive things, each one the size of a mountain, their weapons, their armor, their technology thousands of years ahead of anything Earth had built. They are stronger than us, Park admitted. They are more advanced. They have conquered species far greater than humanity. She looked at the assembled leaders. But they have made a mistake, a terrible mistake. What mistake? Someone asked. They struck Earth first, Park said. They killed our children, they burned our homes. They thought this would make us surrender. She shook her head slowly. Instead, they have united us. For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth has the same enemy, the same purpose, the same rage. She pointed at the images of the alien ships. They do not know what humans are capable of when we are pushed. They do not know our history. They have never seen what we do to those who hurt us. They think they are predators and we are prey. Her eyes were cold. They are wrong. They have awakened something they do not understand. The room was silent. Every person there felt something stirring in their chest. It was fear, yes, but it was also pride, and anger, and a terrible, beautiful determination. I am asking for one thing, Park said. Give me command of our united forces. Give me the resources of every nation. Give me your scientists, your engineers, your soldiers. Give me everything humanity has." She placed her hands on the podium. "And I will teach these aliens why they should have left Earth alone." The vote was unanimous. Every nation agreed. Every leader signed. Park became the first Supreme Commander of the United Earth Defense Force. She walked out of that building with the weight of 8 billion souls on her shoulders. She did not smile. She did not celebrate. She simply looked up at the sky, at the stars where the enemy waited. "You struck Earth first," she whispered to the darkness. "Now we are coming for you." The real war had not yet begun, but humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was awake, and the Empire, in all its ancient arrogance, had no idea what was coming. 6 months passed after the death of the fleet waited beyond Mars, patient and confident. High Commander checked his reports every day, expecting to see the white flag of surrender. He expected the humans to beg, to crawl, to offer themselves as slaves in exchange for their lives. That was what every other species had done. That was what always happened. But the humans sent nothing. No surrender, no messages, no communication at all, just silence. Empty, endless silence. Grew annoyed, then confused. Then slowly something he had never felt before crept into his mind. It was small at first, like a cold wind on a warm day. He did not recognize it because he had never experienced it. It was doubt. On Earth, something extraordinary was happening. Every factory that once made cars now made weapons. Every laboratory that once studied medicine now studied alien technology. Every university that once taught history now taught war. The whole planet had become one giant machine, and that machine had only one purpose: revenge. General Park worked 20 hours every day. She slept on a small bed in her office. She ate simple meals while reading reports. She had no time for rest. She had no time for grief. The 9 million dead were always in her mind, pushing her forward, demanding justice. Admiral was her second in command. He was 52 years old, a Navy man his whole life. He had commanded submarines and aircraft carriers. Now he commanded something much bigger. He brought the daily reports to Park every morning, and every morning the news was a little better. "We found fragments from their plasma weapons," he told her one day. "Our scientists have studied them. They understand how the alien shields work now." And Park asked, not looking up from her papers. "Their shields stop energy weapons. Lasers, plasma, radiation, very effective," smiled slightly. "But they are weak against solid objects moving very fast. Kinetic weapons, bullets basically, very big, very fast bullets." Park looked up. "Rail guns." "Yes, we have been building rail guns for years, small ones for ships, but if we make them bigger, much bigger, and put them in space," he spread his hands, "their shields will not help them." Park nodded slowly. "How long to build orbital platforms?" 3 months for the first ones, 6 months for full coverage." "Do it." There was another scientist working on the project. Her name was Bay. She was only 29 years old, but she was the person in any room she entered. She had been a professor at Seoul National University before the attack. The university was gone now, burned by the aliens because it was too close to. Many of her students had died. Many of her friends had died. She did not talk about it. She just worked. One evening she came to Park's office. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but they were also bright with excitement. She was holding a small piece of metal, no bigger than a coin. "General," she said, "I found something." Park looked at the metal. "What is it?" "A piece of their engine, their faster-than-light engine." Bay's hands were shaking slightly. "I understand how it works now. It bends space. It creates a bubble around the ship, and the bubble moves faster than light while the ship inside stays still." Park leaned forward. "Can we build one?" "Yes," Bay swallowed. "But it will take time, 18 months at least, and we will need resources, a lot of resources." "You will have everything you need," Park said immediately. "Everything." Bay hesitated. There is something else. Their design is good, but it is not perfect. I can see ways to improve it. If we build our own version, it will be faster than theirs. Better. For the first time in 6 months, Park almost smiled. Do it. Make it better. Make it so good that they will never catch us. The months passed. Factories worked day and night. Ships were built in secret, hidden in underground bases and beneath the ocean. The aliens watched from beyond Mars, seeing nothing unusual. They saw humans going about their lives. They saw cities being rebuilt. They saw what looked like a defeated species accepting its fate. They did not see the truth. They did not see the rail gun platforms being assembled in pieces and launched quietly into orbit. They did not see the shipyards beneath the Pacific Ocean where black warships were taking shape. They did not see the millions of soldiers training in underground facilities, learning to fight in zero gravity, learning to kill aliens. General Park stood in one of those underground shipyards watching the first warship near completion. It was beautiful in a deadly way. Sharp angles, black armor, no windows, no decorations, nothing unnecessary, just weapons and engines and armor. A machine built for one purpose. "What will you name it?" Admiral asked. Park thought of the city that had died, the city where she was born, the city where her parents had lived, where her childhood home had stood, where 9 million people had laughed and loved and dreamed. "Memory," she said quietly, "so we never forget why we fight." The silence continued. They continued to wait, and humanity continued to prepare. The thunder was coming, they just could not hear it yet. The patrol squadron entered the asteroid belt with complete confidence. 30 ships, each one crewed by warriors who had never known defeat. Their commander, a young officer named Vex, wanted to impress High Commander. He had detected strange energy readings near the asteroids. Probably nothing. Probably just space dust and radiation. But if he found something important, his career would advance. His ship spread out in a standard search pattern. Sensors scanned the darkness between the rocks. Nothing unusual appeared on their screens. Just asteroids, thousands of them, floating silently in the void. "Boring," Vex muttered to himself. "Another waste of time." Then his ship exploded. The blast was so sudden, so violent, that he did not even have time to scream. One moment he was sitting in his command chair. The next moment he was atoms scattered across space. His crew died with him, never knowing what had killed them. The second ship exploded 3 seconds later, then the third, then 5 more in rapid succession. Fireballs bloomed in the darkness like flowers of death. Warriors screamed into their communicators, asking what was happening, begging for help, but no help came. From behind the asteroids, humanity's first interstellar warships emerged. They were black as the void itself. No lights, no markings, no warnings. They moved with terrible grace, slipping between the rocks like sharks through water, and their weapons spoke with thunder. Captain Shin Myra commanded the lead ship. She was 34 years old. She had been a fighter pilot before the attack, one of the best in the Korean Air Force. Her parents had lived in. Her younger brother had lived in. Her childhood friends had lived in. They were all gone now, all 9 million of them, and she carried their memory with her every second of every day. She sat in her command chair watching the ships die and felt nothing. No joy, no satisfaction, just cold, patient purpose. "Target the flagship," she said calmly. "Let one ship escape. I want them to tell their masters what happened here." Her weapons officer, a young man named Han, nodded and pressed the firing button. The rail guns hummed with power. Tungsten projectiles, each one the size of a car, accelerated to incredible speed. They crossed the distance in heartbeats. They hit the flagship and went straight through it, punching holes in the shields like fists through paper. The flagship broke apart. Atmosphere vented into space. Bodies tumbled through the void. Ammunition exploded. In seconds, there was nothing left but wreckage. 29 ships died in that asteroid belt. The battle, if you could call it that, lasted 4 minutes. 4 minutes to destroy a force that would have conquered most species in the galaxy. 4 minutes to announce that humanity was no longer prey. The 30th ship fled. Its pilot was young, barely old enough to serve. He had watched his entire squadron die around him. He had seen ships that should not exist tear through armor like it was nothing. He flew as fast as his engines could carry him, screaming warnings into every channel, crying for help that would never come. When he finally reached the fleet beyond Mars, he was shaking so badly he could barely speak. High Commander listened to his report with growing disbelief. 30 ships destroyed, human warships with impossible technology, weapons that ignored shields, speed that explanation. Impossible, said. They are primitives, they cannot have built such things. I saw it, the young pilot whispered. I saw it with my own eyes. They are coming, Commander. They are coming for all of us. On Earth, General Park received the battle report with grim satisfaction. The first blood had been drawn. The first message had been sent. But it was not enough. They needed to understand fully what they had awakened. They needed to know that this was not a rebellion. This was not a resistance. This was extinction coming for them on black wings. She called her communications officer into her office. I want to send a message, she said. Not just to the fleet, to every world, every ship, every soldier, every citizen. I want them all to hear what I have to say. That will require accessing their communication network, the officer said nervously. Hacking into their systems. Dr. Bay has already done it, Park replied. She broke their encryption 2 months ago. We have been listening to them ever since. Now it is time for them to listen to us. She stood and straightened her uniform. She had not worn medals or decorations since. She did not feel she had earned them yet. But today she wore them all. Every ribbon, every star, every symbol of rank and authority. She wanted them to see exactly who was speaking to them. Record when ready, she told the officer. The light turned red. The camera focused on her face, and General Park began to speak. Captain Shin Myra watched the message from the bridge of memory. Her crew watched with her. No one spoke. No one moved. They just listened as their general told the entire empire exactly what was coming. When the message ended, Shin Myra looked at her crew. Their faces were hard. Their eyes were bright. They were ready. You heard the general, she said quietly. We have work to do. The message reached every corner of the empire at the same moment. It appeared on military screens and civilian televisions. It played in government buildings and private homes. It interrupted emergency broadcasts and children's programs. For the first time in 12,000 years, an alien voice spoke to the people, and that voice belonged to a human woman. General Park stood before the camera. Behind her was a massive display showing the positions of ships, human ships, hundreds of them, spreading across the space between Earth and Mars like a dark tide. Her face was calm. Her voice was steady. Her eyes held something that made even the bravest warrior feel cold. I am General Park of the United Earth Defense Force, she began. I speak for humanity. Across the empire, billions have stopped what they were doing. They gathered around screens. They listened in silence. They had been told that humans were primitive, weak, barely worth noticing. But the woman on their screens did not look weak. She looked like death wearing a uniform. 18 months ago, your empire murdered 9 million of my people, Park continued. You burned them where they stood. You killed children in their schools. You killed mothers holding their babies. You killed old men who had never hurt anyone. You did this because you believed we were insects, because you believed we would crawl and beg and surrender. She paused. The silence stretched across light years. You were wrong. The display behind her shifted. Numbers appeared, ship counts, weapon systems, fleet positions. The military commanders watching the broadcast felt their blood run cold. The numbers should not have been possible. The humans had nothing 18 months ago, nothing but primitive rockets and simple satellites. Now they had a fleet, a real fleet. with weapons that had destroyed 30 ships in 4 minutes. "You do not understand what you have done," Park said. "You have united a species that has spent its entire history fighting itself. You have given 8 billion people a single purpose, a single enemy, a single goal." Her voice hardened. "You have created the very thing you should have feared most." The Emperor watched from his throne in the Crystal Citadel. He was ancient, over 300 years old, kept alive by technology and medicine. He had ruled for 2 centuries. He had crushed rebellions and conquered worlds. He had never felt fear. But watching this human woman speak, something unfamiliar stirred in his chest. "I am sending this message as a courtesy," Park continued. "Not to negotiate. We will not negotiate. Not to threaten. Threats are for those who might not act. I am sending this message simply to inform you of what is coming." She took a step closer to the camera. Her face filled screens across 1,000 worlds. "We are not coming for your resources. We do not want your planets. We are not coming for territory or power or slaves." Her voice dropped lower. "We are coming for you, every commander who gave the order to attack Earth, every soldier who fired on our cities, every official who approved the destruction of. You will answer for what you did. All 9 million names. We remember every single one." In military bases across the Empire, officers looked at each other nervously. They had followed orders. They had done what High Commander told them to do. They had thought it was just another easy conquest, just another primitive species to crush. They had never imagined consequences. "You have 6 months," Park said. "In 6 months our fleet will reach you. You cannot stop us. You cannot hide. You cannot run far enough or fast enough. We have studied your technology. We have improved it. Our ships are faster than yours now. Our weapons are stronger. And our soldiers." She almost smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "Our soldiers have something yours do not. They have rage. They have grief. They have 8 billion people watching them, cheering them on, praying for their victory. Your soldiers fight because they are ordered to. Our soldiers fight because they want to. There is no greater weapon in the universe than a human being with nothing left to lose." The display behind her showed the path of the human fleet, a red line stretching from Earth to Prime, direct, unstoppable, inevitable. "I want to be very clear," Park said. "This is not revenge. Revenge is emotional, passionate, wasteful. This is justice. Cold, calculated, precise justice. We will dismantle your empire piece by piece. We will free every species you have enslaved. We will make sure that no world ever suffers what suffered." She straightened, her hands clasped behind her back. "And when it is over, when your fleets are debris and your armies are broken, the galaxy will remember one lesson. Do not strike Earth. Do not harm humanity. Do not wake the sleeping giant." Her final words were quiet, almost gentle. "You struck Earth first. We did not want this war. We did not seek your destruction. We were happy on our little blue world, dreaming of peace among the stars." Her eyes hardened. "But you took that dream from us. You burned it with our children. So now you will see what humans become when peace is no longer possible." She nodded once. 6 months, use them well." The transmission ended. Across the Empire there was silence, then panic, then fear unlike anything the ancient civilization had ever known. For the first time in 12,000 years, they understood what it felt like to be prey. And the hunters were coming. They had never seen an enemy fleet in its skis. For 12,000 years the planet called Prime had been safe, protected, sacred. Its orbital defense platforms were the most powerful in the galaxy. Its fleet was the largest ever assembled. 1,500 warships circled the planet like a wall of steel and fire. Emperor stood in his crystal citadel, watching the stars, waiting for the humans to come. He had gathered every ship, every soldier, every weapon his empire possessed. He had called home fleets from distant conquests. He had armed civilians and drafted children. If the humans wanted his world, they would pay for every meter of space with blood. The human fleet arrived at dawn. General Park stood on the bridge of the Unity, humanity's first dreadnought-class warship. It was enormous, 3 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that had no name in any language. Around her, 500 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. Not 300 as her message had promised. Humanity had been busy. Admiral stood at her side, reading the tactical display. They have assembled everything. 1,500 ships, orbital platforms, ground defenses. He looked at her. They are scared. Good, Park said quietly. They should be. The battle began. Human ships moved in ways commanders could not predict. They made short jumps through space itself, appearing behind enemy lines, firing their weapons, vanishing before return fire could touch them. Dr. Bay's improvements to the faster-than-light engines made this possible. The humans danced through the formation like ghosts, striking and disappearing, striking and disappearing. Rail guns thundered. Tungsten projectiles tore through shields that had stopped plasma fire for thousands of years. Missiles found their targets with impossible precision. Human pilots flew with reckless courage, knowing that the souls of 9 million dead were watching them, cheering them on. Captain Shin Myra led the assault on the orbital platforms. Her ship's memory dove through enemy fire like a blade through water. Her crew worked in perfect silence, each person focused on their task. They had trained for this moment. They had dreamed of this moment. And now it was here. Target the reactor core, Shin Myra ordered. 1 shot. Her weapons officer fired. The rail gun round crossed 10,000 kilometers in a heartbeat. It hit the orbital platform exactly where the sensors said the reactor would be. The explosion was beautiful and terrible, a new sun blooming in the darkness. 1 down, Shin Myra said, 23 to go. The battle lasted 9 hours. By the 3rd hour, the fleet was in chaos. Their formations had broken. Their communications were jammed. Their commanders were screaming orders that no one could follow. The humans were everywhere and nowhere, appearing from impossible angles, striking with impossible precision. By the 6th hour, half the ships were debris floating in the void. The orbital platforms were silent wreckage. The ground defenses had been bombed into craters. Emperor watched from his citadel as his empire's power died around him, and for the first time in 300 years he wept. By the 9th hour it was over. Human marines landed on Prime in black armor and black ships. They moved through the streets like shadows, accepting surrenders, securing positions, showing mercy where mercy was offered. Soldiers threw down their weapons rather than face these humans who fought like demons. General Park walked through the gates of the Crystal Citadel with Admiral at her side. Guards knelt as she passed. They did not dare look at her face. They had heard the message she sent 6 months ago. They knew what she represented. They knew what humanity had become. Emperor waited in his throne room, stripped of his ceremonial armor, stripped of his guards, stripped of everything except his pride. He knelt on the cold floor as Park entered. His ancient eyes looked up at her with hatred and fear and something else. Respect. "What do you want?" he demanded. "Our worlds, our technology, our submission. Name your price." Park looked at him for a long moment. This creature before her had ordered the deaths of billions across the galaxy. He had destroyed 17 species completely. He had enslaved 43 more. He had approved the attack on without a second thought. He deserved death. He deserved worse than death. "I want you to remember," she said quietly. "I want every species you crush to know that you can be beaten, that you are not gods, that you are just another empire that grew too proud and too cruel." She turned to Admiral. "Release the slaves, all of them, every species, every world, broadcast everything. Let the galaxy see what happened here." "And the Emperor?" asked. Park looked at the ancient creature kneeling before her. She thought of 9 million souls crying out for justice. She thought of her parents, her friends, her home, all of them ash and memory. "He lives," she said finally. The Emperor's eyes widened in surprise. "Death is too easy," Park explained. "Let him live. Let him watch as his empire crumbles. Let him see the slaves walk free. Let him hear the songs of liberation sung across 1,000 worlds. Let him know every day for the rest of his long life that the species he dismissed as insects destroyed everything he built." She leaned close to his face. "That is justice." She turned and walked toward the door, then paused. "You struck Earth first," she said without looking back. "Remember that. We did not want this war. We did not seek your destruction. You chose this. And now you will live with the consequences." She walked out of the citadel, into the light of an alien sun. In the years that followed, humanity became the protector of the liberated species, not as conquerors but as guardians. The slaves were freed. The 17 extinct species were mourned, and the galaxy learned a new lesson. Do not harm humanity. Do not threaten their world. Do not wake the sleeping giant. General Park retired to a small house by the sea near where was being rebuilt. Sometimes old friends visited. Admiral Dr. Bay, Captain Shin. They would sit on her porch watching the waves, remembering what they had done. "Do you have regrets?" asked her once. Park was silent for a long time. "I regret that it was necessary," she said finally. "But I do not regret that we survived. I do not regret that we stood up. And I do not regret showing the universe what happens when you underestimate humanity." She raised her glass toward the stars. "They struck first. We made sure no one will ever strike again." The waves rolled on. The stars shone down. And humanity watched over the galaxy it had freed, forever vigilant, forever ready, forever remembering the lesson of never again.